Good evening. So today we are at the Dairy Goat Cottage Industry Symposium, and Dr. Dennie was one of the speakers here today. And she was there, teaching everybody some of the stuff that she knows. She also have some stuff here, and we're going to look at a few of these things that she have here. But Dr. Dennie, how was today? What happened here today with you?
It was very good, I didn't go as in depth with my nutrition discussion as I did with the Small Ruminants Association. And I think one of the reasons is because that presentation was so good that people can refer to that, and I'll send out this presentation here. But the audience, it wasn't as much farmers as I would have hoped, but I hope that the little bit of snippets of information that I imparted was sufficient for them to realize that the requirements for dairy goats is totally different from that of meat goats, and they should approach it a little bit differently.
If you pick one thing, one very important thing, that there's a difference between goat milk industry, goat as it pertains to goat, and the meat market. What is one? Just tell me one of the most important thing you think would be a difference in terms of nutrition.
Their energy requirements is much higher, as much as 20% higher.
What do you mean by energy?
Just the dry matter that they need to intake, the quality of it, the quality of the grasses and the forages, it needs to be much higher than that of meat goats.
When you talk about energy, I heard you talking today about molasses. Is that what you mean by energy?
So it's molasses, it's also the concentrate feeds, it's also things like bypass fat that would give them extra energy. And then, I also showed the correlation between the starches that they're eating. So the complex starches, how it's broken down into glucose, which is eventually converted into lactose. So I don't think a lot of people make the correlation between the two sometimes. They just think of milk. Cassava, excellent.
I know that's one of your pet things.
Yeah, man, you know that.
I saw a video with a man that chop up some cassava in a bush. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
And him chop up the cassava and feed it to the cow. And I said, boy, couldn't it poison them?
No. Well, all right. Let me clarify. It depends on the type of cassava that he was chopping up. So if it was a bitter cassava, ideally he should have really allowed it to sun dry or ensile it. Ensiling actually releases the cyanide. If it's a sweet cassava, then it's not so much of a problem. It does have a little, but it's not as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one is better for the goats? So the sweet or the
Yeah, I would do the sweet cassava. Yeah,
it has more sugar.
It has more sugar, and it's a little bit more forgiving too.
You know what? I have this question keep coming to me that molasses and these sweet things will give the goat diabetes. I'm just saying diabetes, but what is this sweet thing that people are always saying about giving goats too much sweet and it can affect them?
Right, so that is called rumen acidosis. So based on the nutrient profile of the diet that you're giving them, that will determine what type of microbes proliferate. So if you give them too much carbohydrates, molasses, the cassava, then the bacteria will proliferate, they'll kill the protozoa that's in the rumen, and then the rumen stops moving. So you actually have to have every single thing in balance. So you have to be very careful. That's why I always say give them the carbohydrates in the afternoon, the readily fermentable carbohydrates in the afternoon. Now you do need some carbohydrates, the readily fermentable carbohydrates, because it helps with the forage breakdown. But as I always say, everything in moderation.
Balanced diet.
A balanced diet, exactly.
Now that you tell me, people talk about the molasses so much, but we could talk about it all day. Now see, you have all kind of entangles here.
You know what? It's a good segue, You see, you know what this is? This is a Brix meter. This is a Brix meter. It actually tells you the quality of your molasses. So remember, once I spoke about how somebody will sell you, somebody will sell you molasses and add water to it. This will actually tell you whether or not they added water to it. So ideally you want a molasses that has a Brix of 78 and above. If you have it lower than that, you know that they've diluted it. Right?
I saw this thing recently.
This is a fumigation.
For the pen.
Well, not just for the pens, but also for poultry houses, for feed mills. This kills viruses up to 99%. So like the avian influenza, it kills it. Swine fever, we don't have that here in Jamaica, but we have to start talking about it. It also kills mold too. mold and bacteria. Yeah.
No, this is the one here, this water one.
Yeah, my water tester.
This is the part here now that we've been talking about. Tell me about the water tester and why we need that.
So if you cannot drink the water, then it makes no sense you give it to your animals, because the rumen functions on clean water, potable water, and this is how you're going to test for it. I even mentioned it where sometimes we're in some fields and they had just fertilized it. You're getting well water. You have a lot of phosphates.
This looks like the thing that tests the swimming pool.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
no. The same company does make a swimming pool test kit, right? So this one tests your nitrates, and then if you look, this one actually connects to your Bluetooth, and it does pH, free chlorine. So everybody that says, "Oh yeah, I have chlorine in my water," but when you test it, there's not much free chlorine. So that means that the bacterial activity of the chlorine is null and void because it's not free, right? So, and hydrogen peroxide.
One of the things is that animals need clean water.
Clean water. If you can't drink it, them can't drink it.
And you don't want high chlorine or high of anything in the water. We need clean water. Is there any more fancy tools you have? I know this look like some
this one is a camera that you snake down to your water line. So sometimes you're adding those vitamins in your water lines and you don't flush the water lines afterwards. You're providing food for the bacteria.
Oh, yes.
And then you're wondering why your animal's getting sick and you give them antibiotics and the antibiotics not working. That's because you have a lot of bacterial buildup in the water line itself. And this camera, you snake it through and it shows you what your water line looks like.
Flush those lines.
You know, my favorite product is citric acid, right?
Oh, citric acid. Wow, yes. So you flush it with citric acid?
Yeah. It's a combination of citric acid and the regular household bleach. So the reason why you add the citric acid, you want to drop the pH down below 6.5 so that the bleach works better. And then you flush the line.
So if you put a little citric acid in your water that you're sending through that line all the time,
it helps.
It will help. Sure,
Yeah.
So that is something we learn new here. A little citric acid in your water, because I have like a 55-gallon drum, and I usually can add my, additives, whatever in that. You can put a little citric acid in there from time to time.
And help it.
And it will help you clean your lines.
Right. And then here we have the NIR machine. So one of the things I spoke about is precision agriculture, precision nutrition. So you need to know exactly what is in your forages before you give it to your animals. One thing I failed to mention there is that you really should be dividing your herd according to their stage of production. So you keep the kids by themselves, first lactation, mothers by themselves, second lactation, third lactation. And then you give them formulas according to where they are in their production life cycle. So this NIR machine, I wouldn't recommend it for farmers. It's a little bit expensive unless you're one of the larger enterprises. But RADA is going to get one of these, so extension officers can come around and tell you the quality of your pasture. Or if you want, you can sample your pasture, send it to me, and I will analyze it and tell you what the nutrient profile is. And then
this is the test really,
the grass. Yeah. Well, you can actually test like corn, soybean meal, your distiller's grain that you get. Yeah. You can also do silage too. Yeah, silage and hay.
And then it seems like you have a whole host of milking machine here.
Yeah. So this one, not so much, out of the two milking machines, the one I really like is actually this one right here. All right, so this is the one that I like. You have some very prolific mothers that produce a lot of colostrum. I would recommend that farmers store this colostrum for up to 1 year. So you can put the name of the animal, the date that you collected it, freeze it. And when you have orphan kids or when the mothers are not producing enough colostrum and you need to get the colostrum, remember you're supposed to get it quickly. It should be clean. And it should be in quantity, right? Within 24 hours. So you thaw this out and you provide it to your kids, your newborns. So that's the reason why I like this one. So you can collect and store for another day. And then this one is an electric one.
Right.
But it's for the smaller farmers. This one right here is set up for 2. You can put a splitter on it and you can do 4. Yeah.
So, And then as usual, she has her little tractor with her hay.
Hay.
She produces hay and
silage
as one of
yeah.
the things. So, Doc, It was good talking to you. I know you have all of this, and you just show the farmers your animal nutrition, equipment sales and rental, farm management and consultancy. She do all of this stuff. Water line camera, which she just spoke about, handheld NIR, infrared cameras and water quality kit. So she do all of these services for the farmers and more. And you know, she can you can contact her for advice. You know, she's in the private sector and have her own business. What's the name of your company again?
Farm and Animal Nutrition Solutions Limited. And if you see it,
Number?
It's 340-3525. We're fans of agriculture.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Doc.
Likewise.
And I expect you to be on my podcast very, very soon.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
We need you again. They love you. And we want to have you there.